Recently, footage appeared on the internet of occupiers and donkey, which they jokingly called their new transport. Russia does have problems with armored vehicles, but that doesn't mean soldiers will ride donkeys into battle. A more likely option is hoverboards, Forbes reports. It was understandably tempting to conclude some Russian troops plan to ride hoverboards on their next assault. A video that circulated online depicts Russians loading brightly colored hoverboards onto a military truck. When there's nothing to drive, one laughs. But it seems most likely the Russians stole the toys from Ukrainian civilians and are taking them home as prizes, or to modify into the wheelbase for a kind of experimental explosive drone that first appeared last year. On the rough, snowy terrain of the Ukrainian battlefield, a hoverboard is far less effective transport for infantry than simply walking. However, this also does not mean that the enemy is going to resort to radical measures such as using donkeys and horses in battles. It is possible that Russian soldiers are simply stealing animals from the civilian population of Ukraine. The enemy can also use animals for their experiments, throwing them into battle against the Ukrainian armed forces. Putin's army now has to go into battle on foot, and some soldiers are even sent into the attack on crutches. Only occasionally can Russian soldiers count on such a privilege as delivery to the front lines in armored vehicles. Meanwhile, Russian logisticians are also experiencing a shortage of motor transport and are switching to supplying combat units with the help of donkeys. Horses are increasingly appearing on the Russian side of the front line. It is worth noting that the U.S. Army also used donkeys as horse-drawn transport during the war in Afghanistan. Moreover, the Marines sometimes used them in combat operations. However, unlike the U.S., the Russian military is not simply using donkeys to move around rough terrain, as is logical for pack animals. No, they are making extensive use of the animals, and this is a clear sign of the accelerating demechanization of the Russian army, as its costly war in Ukraine continues into its fourth year. A hoverboard is a fictional skateboard-like device that has two anti-gravity pads instead of wheels. It can hover about 7 centimeters above the ground. It appears in the film Back to the Future. A video has appeared on the social network X, posted by a Ukrainian blogger who regularly reports on the situation in Ukraine, which, according to him, shows one of the Mi-24 helicopters that Macedonia donated to Ukraine, carrying out an attack on Russian targets in Donetsk, transmitted in 360 degrees. A former North Macedonian Mi-24 helicopter and the Ukrainian Mi-8 attack transport helicopter are attacking Russian targets in the Donetsk region with unguided missiles, wrote the blogger. The Mi-24 helicopters that the country donated to Ukraine in 2023 are Russian-made and were purchased from Ukraine in 2001. The decision to donate helicopters from the Army of North Macedonia to the Ukrainian military was made at a government session on March 29, 2023. The government reviewed and adopted the information on the need to conclude a protocol for the donation of aircraft between the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of North Macedonia and the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and adopted the decision for the donation of aircraft to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the government announced at the time. Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance aircraft have detected and struck a Russian S-300 anti-aircraft missile system in the occupied territory of Zaporozhye region. The missiles fired from the drone destroyed the 9A-83 launcher of the complex, which costs more than $200 million. Ukrainian fighters then landed the drone nearby, filming the invading Russian army soldiers moving excitedly around the destroyed equipment. The occupiers were forced to leave the area after their efforts to disable the launcher failed.
In total, since February the 24th, 2022, in cooperation with the Ukrainian Defense Forces, 26,525 Russian air attack weapons have been shot down, in particular 370 aircraft, 331 helicopters, 40 Kh-47M2 Kinzhal aero-ballistic missiles, 95 Iskander M/KN-23 ballistic missiles, 550 Caliber cruise missiles, 95 Iskander K cruise missiles, 1,801 cruise missiles Kh-101/Kh-55 cm/Kh-555, 460 guided aircraft missiles Kh-59/Kh-69, 25 missiles of other types, 14,286 Shahed-type attack UAVs, 6,900 reconnaissance UAVs. Over the course of 3 years, the Air Force's tactical aviation carried out more than 20,000 sorties, about 10,000 to engage the enemy with fire, and more than 12,000 to provide fighter air cover. Recently, Ukraine appears to have destroyed the first example of Russia's S-350 Vityaz ground-based air defense system since the start of the Kremlin's full-scale invasion. The S-350 is one of Russia's most advanced surface-to-air missile systems and has only been rarely seen deployed in the conflict, as we discussed in the past. The S-350 system, developed by the Almaz Antey company, is made up of different mobile components, including the 50P6 TELS and the very similar 50P6T launcher/loader vehicle, as well as the 50N6A passively electronically scanned array radar and the 50K6A command post. The primary missiles fired by the S-350 are from the 9M96 series, which can also be used by the long-range S-400 air defense system. The basic 9M96 has a range of only around 18 miles, while the extended range 9M96D can reach targets at 75 miles, with unconfirmed reports suggesting it could perhaps have a range as far as 90 miles.